Well, welcome everyone to Coaching for Coaches free community call. Today is Wednesday, February 3rd, and today we're covering how to prepare for an enrollment call, what to send, how to coach, and how to really serve and sell during the call. And today Gretchen will actually be demoing an enrollment call so you can hear what it sounds like and you can ask her questions. I'm Christy, life coach and business strategist, and I'll be helping out with the tech today. There's a few housekeeping items if you're new to joining us. Zoom does let me unmute you if you gave it permission ahead of time. But if you have any tech issues, just shoot me a message and I will help you with that. Also, at any point you can chat. If Gretchen asks a question, feel free to use the chat option, or sometimes we will just unmute each other and just chat about something. But with this, I'm going to hand this back over to Gretchen.
All right. Well, hi, everybody. Happy first Wednesday. Happy to see everyone. Tonight we are going to do an enrollment call. But before that, I saw this quote today and I want to read it to you because so many of you have reached out to me about your niche and what should you do and should you work on a logo and your marketing's getting in your way and spending a lot of time on these things. So I saw this and I wish I could put my name on it and pretend that I wrote it, but I have to be integrous, so I will be. This is somebody else's, I don't know whose, but here's what it says. Your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. How you leave others feeling after an experience with you becomes your trademark. And I just thought that was so good, right? Because as coaches, we're always so like jacked up on, but my logo and my website and my this and my that. And the truth is, it's the experience with you that people are going to be left with that's going to make all the difference. So we're just going to do this community call tonight, and you guys can feel free to ask questions. As always, it's going to be interactive. Masha was so nice to volunteer to do this, and here's the great news. Masha and I have worked together in the past, and she actually knows what I do for enrollment calls because she, first of all, was trained by me at the school that she got her certification at, and then second of all, became my client. So with this one, she has some new topics, but it's the exact same process. And what I want to set this up by saying is that typically I would give more time than I am going to give in this enrollment call. I always give an hour to talk to people just to get to know them. Another thing that I want all of you to see and notice as well is that I'm not going to coach her. The enrollment call and the coaching call are different. What I am going to do is really have some great active listening, ask her some questions, get to know her, and then she has. I told her bring a bunch of objections to throw at me, so she has some, and you can see the way I field them, and what might work for you. Now, again, it's going to be shorter than it usually would be. I'd give the client more time, more room to be able to get to know them. But just for the sake of this call, we're going to shorten it up a bit. So before we get started, does anyone have any questions that they want to ask before I start demoing this shortened enrollment call? And I can't see everyone, so if you do, just unmute. Okay, I think that means no. All right, so Masha, you can unmute and let's do this. So here's what, before Masha and I would have this call together, the thing that I would do is I would make sure that I had sent her some information beforehand. And so Masha answered a few questions for me, and they were just basically things like, in the next 3 to 6 months, what would be a win for you? What would you like to accomplish? What's been hard about getting those things? What would it mean to you to have those things? And if they never ever happen, how are you going to feel? So that's how I primed this with the client. And the reason that I do that is I want to make sure that when they arrive at the call that they have put some time and some thought into it. And I also want to make sure too that they can follow some basic instructions and are willing to be prepped. You can already tell a client who may not be a great fit if they won't even write a few sentences for the time that you're going to give them. So it's just something that I use kind of as a little bit of a barometer to see who may or may not be coachable. And so Masha was coachable already. She answered the question. So that's just something in the background that you guys get to know that happened. So I'll just set this up. Christy, can you pin Masha with me, please? There, now I can see you. Hi.
Hi.
I'm happy that you volunteered. So we're just going to get into this as if you had signed up for, a complimentary getting to know you session. So thank you for doing that. And I have your answers and I had some time to take a look at them. And I'm wondering, tell me a little bit about you and what brings you to our call.
Sure. Thanks so much, Gretchen. Thanks for making the time and for sending the questions over as well. It made me think deeper about what I feel our work could be around.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's important to me that's been really coming up, especially with COVID, especially with the isolation and quarantine. And I'm finding that I'm working a lot more. Like the 9 to 5 is spreading from like a 7 to 6, things like that, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So there's some overwhelm around that, but I'm internally inside in my heart, I'm a creative. I love to write.
Yeah.
I love to do any kind of stuff like that where I get to exercise that muscle. And I feel like it's flickering out, you know.
And I,
And with COVID and things like that, it makes it so much harder. And um it's a little bit heartbreaking. And I feel like I want to transition in my life to more of a creative career.
yes.
Yeah, so that's really big for me. And it's actually even really big to say that out loud.
I could feel it. When you said that, I felt it in my heart. And then you used the word heartbreaking, and I could feel that too. And here's the deal that you and I, we do know each other. And if this were a true enrollment call, a lot of times clients come back and we would do this process again of like, where are you at now? And so the things that I know about you are you're always dedicated to whatever is at hand. And so the fact that you've got this career and you're doing things, I can see where it could swallow you up. And then that part of really wanting to make sure that your light doesn't flicker out, that is key kind of to even your own well-being from what I know about you.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. So tell me, what are you doing these days? What's the 9 to 5 that's really more like 7 to 6?
It's HR. It's HR and it's in biotech. And it's a lot of really overwhelming IPO stuff. And the company's growing exponentially. And I feel like in corporate America, once people kind of figure out that you're a get shit done type of person, then it honestly just keeps getting more and more piled on. And it's hard to draw boundaries. It's hard not to want to. I have a thing for impressing people. I need to be able to do that and be good at what I do. And not so much people pleasing, but I just need to do a good job. I can't let it leave me without having it look good. But it's draining because it's not connected to any sort of meaning for me whatsoever.
Right. And so two things come up when I hear you say this. I know that you're a get shit done. I know that from our work together, and I know that from the way you show up in the world. What's standing in your way of getting the shit done when it comes to your own creativity?
There's a block. It's not when you do creative stuff, there's not an immediate gratification of like, okay, this is done now. I can send it off. Here we go. We're done. It's a much slower process for me. And it's a much scarier process. There's a lot of fear around how it might be received, um, feedback around things. So that fear kind of just makes me, it's okay. I'll just do 9 to 5 for the rest of my life. That's fine.
Yeah, and the other part too, because you said the thing about you like to impress people, getting shit done does impress people. It does. And I wonder, because I'm hearing this part about the creativity and that that it's kind of flickering out, is the creativity a hobby or is it a way of being?
It's a way of being. I mean, everything is creative. The way you cook, the way that I like to cook, the way that I spend time with my son, the activities that we do, the everything I show him, all the stuff that we're into. Like for myself, when I write, when I see patterns in things, when I see patterns in my conversations with people coaching, like everything is, I see things differently. Like I see, it's weird. It's hard to get into, but like I just see different perspectives and things. And when I look at things, I know that other people don't see what I see. So I want to be able to bring that like more so out of my head and ideas into like the physical world, you know, and show that.
And if you started living that way with more of that creative energy and really creative intuition and way of being, how would other things in your life change?
I would stop. Um, I feel like the brakes would stop. Like there's like this push pull brakes that I have like this brake system inside of myself where I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't. Oh, maybe that's just in my head, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I let ideas pass by that I know are viable. And so it's opportunity that's lost.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now, here's what I'm hearing. A couple things. Yes, it's the working too much, but it's also about your creative way of being and not allowing that in. There's a part of you, and just because I do know you, I think that, that impressing people, it's ego, right? The ego part that,
Huge.
yeah, it's the ego that's getting in the way and kind of, I don't know, would you call it like suffocating the creativity or taking creativity's place because ego's so big?
It's holding it like in a corset.
Yes. I could feel the constraint. Like that's
Yeah.
what was coming through. So you've got that going on. There's the overwhelm, there's the way that you want to be in the world. And then the last thing you said about opportunities are passing you by.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if in a year from now, nothing changed, what would you miss?
Well, it feels like nothing changes. Years pass by, and I feel like with the older that I get, time just goes so quickly,
Yeah.
and yet nothing changes. I know things change, but not the things that I want.
Hmm. Yeah. So if we were having this conversation and it's February 2022 and you're still talking to me about your creativity, what will you regret?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, that would be so embarrassing. See, my ego can also serve in a good way because my ego keeps me like, this is, don't say things unless you're going to follow through with them out loud.
Mhm.
Um, so there's a good element to the ego as well, but not to the point where it stifles me. So I would feel ashamed. I would feel
Mhm.
ashamed that I'm stepping into such a productive in one aspect part of my life, but yet the things that I really value are getting short shrift.
Mm-hmm. And you're right. Ego has served you and it keeps your bills paid too. That's just the
Yeah.
other piece of it. And you need that. We all have to make sure that we have roofs over our heads and that you're providing and all of those good things. So what I'm hearing is that, in coaching, there's many things that are up here on the table. From all that you have said, what do you feel like the main things would be that you would want to work on with a coach?
Um, I would immediately address the suffocation part of
Mm-hmm.
holding back the creative energy that's clearly there, but is not getting the space.
Okay. What would be underneath that one? I hear that that one's most important. What feels second?
Out of all the things that I said,
Yeah. For what you'd want to work on if you were going to work with a coach.
I would have to have like some sort of goals around writing. Like I can't just say, oh, I'm going to be creative. I'm going to do all these creative things and blah, blah, blah. Like it has to be something tangible that I'm producing on some sort of level. I don't know what writing and what does writing look like, workshopping, how do I speaking, getting like everything, like getting it out, but a real thing.
Okay. So really exploring the writing, and that's the part that you were talking about, that with creative, you want to make sure that there would be something you can say, see, I did this.
Yeah, exactly. To myself as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then what about the overwhelm? Because I feel like that might be a big umbrella over all of this, that you're just in the state of overwhelm, which perpetuates more overwhelm.
Yeah. Um, yes. I am already working on things like there, I am doing things. I have support around the things like overwhelm and things like that.
Good.
Yeah. This is for
Okay.
my dream.
This is for your dream. So then that's the top, that if we did this work together, we're doing dream work.
Yeah.
Yeah, dream, vision, and that's your spiritual center. Okay. So I asked you a lot of questions. And, the truth is, we've worked together before, but we both know that coaching is for people who want it. And from what I'm hearing, coaching really could help with the dream. It can help with overwhelm, although you're already getting some help with that. It can help with ego and the suffocation, and really with what are you going to do about creativity? What does creativity want? And how are you going to usher that in a meaningful way to you and to others? And that's what I'm hearing the real work would be around. Yeah. Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you think about that, what kind of questions come up for you around a coaching container?
As soon as you say my dream to me, my fear comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And my fear is, of course, around money.
Okay.
Like, how much would this cost?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we've got the money fear. What else comes up?
Is this going to work?
Yeah. That's always such a big question. Yeah.
Mhm.
What else?
What happens if it doesn't?
Yeah. What else?
Maybe my life is okay. Why change?
And your life is okay. That's all true. Yeah.
Mhm.
So is there anything else that comes up?
Those are my biggies.
Okay, so let's talk about them, because they're all really valid. And so, yeah, coaching has a price tag, and the will it work? I don't know. I don't know, Masha, if it will work. We've worked together before. You decide if it will work. Um, I know that it's worked for other people, and I know you know other people that it's worked for as well. But I think the bigger question is what would need to happen for it to feel like it worked for you?
That's a good one. Hmm. I feel that if my life changes in one aspect, then it will domino effect in other parts of my life.
Okay.
So, hmm?
Say that again if it changed.
In one aspect, if there's one aspect that really shifted, I know that other things would align as well.
Okay.
So I have to see movement. Like it would have to look like movement in my life.
Make it specific movement though, because that's still pretty vague that if we work together, I might think you're getting all kinds of movement, but if it's not movement that means anything to you, it still won't count for will it work?
Like I have to do really terrifying shit for myself, and which I would never do on my own. I mean, maybe I would, but probably I would chicken out
Okay.
and just, yeah, like two scary things that are tied around writing.
Okay. Do you have an idea of what this
I don't know. Something just came up. I don't know. Hold on. I don't know. I have to think about that. I don't want to take up our time on that, but that was.
I think we're fine. You're good. We have plenty of time. What's the terrifying
um,
shit? I'm super interested in this.
I don't know. I'm so scared to say it. I don't. Oh, I don't know. The thing is, for me, what I've been creating is I'm creating a workshop around people that get stuck around creativity, right? But what I've been, of course. But the thing is, I've been playing with the idea. I'm like, do I want to just help people through creativity, or do I want to create something on my own too? And why am I just being the support? Of course, I want to be supportive. I love people's facial expressions when they do it. I love the whole thing. But what do I want to create? Like, what does that look like? I don't think it's quite a book yet, but like, is it an article or something, or what, or a piece? I'm not sure. It's something, it's a piece, but my fear is that it'll like not be seen or not be read, but I want something, I want to be able to produce something that's going to be seen and that's useful to people. It's not like, obviously, it's not like an ego like vomit of what my
Okay.
terrible life, but something, me complaining about my life, but it's something kind of.
Unless you write like the next Bridget Jones diary, then that could be great. That's all she did. It was hilarious.
Oh, it'll definitely be hilarious for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I have to think about that. That's like the beginning of idea.
Well, it's interesting because you said, when you said, well, will it work? And it's like, I don't know. I've coached you before. Some days you thought it worked, and some days you were like, this is some bullshit. This isn't working.
That is me. Yeah, exactly.
I know. And I know you. And we had some moments like that where you were like, I hired you for this, and this shit isn't happening. If we're really honest, and it's completely fine. So you would have to say what it is that would make it work. But it's interesting that it's something that has to terrify you. And I wonder if it's really terrify, or does it have to excite you to move, like to really do something?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I have to feel seen. I have to feel seen.
Because I think being terrified is your old MO.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's true. I don't know, but
No, being terrified is no, you nailed it when you said being terrified is my coffee. It's my way of pushing my way to do something, to be in a creative process. But I no longer want to do that because I know that there's a way that I can access that's more of a flow versus like this and then create. Because it's usually good and there's usually good feedback. And I don't know why I don't keep it going regularly.
So then would the worth in coaching, whatever the price is, would the worth be if you could figure out that new process, that it doesn't have to be terrifying, but it could be this other thing?
That would be really valuable to me.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And you create something, but I think what you're really looking for is the process
Yeah.
to do it.
Yes. And the process, because I know once I find it, then I can iterate on it and it'll be like permanently inside of me and I could redo it and I can keep using it.
Until it doesn't work. And then you need to do something else because you're bored easily. That's the other part.
I am. That's true.
Yeah.
That's really true.
Okay. So you use it for while it serves, but I wonder if we're doing dream work and you want to know, will this work for me? Again, I don't know if it will or if it won't, but the way that it would be worth it is we figure out that process to bring in your bigger dream. Does that make it worth it if we hit that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do people do that? Do people do that and it works?
Yeah, I've had lots of clients do that and it works. It's for some people it's easier than others, because they're used to the old MO. You use the word terrifying. We're looking for something else. The terrifying is a big feeling. So you're looking for the adrenaline. And so you need a new adrenaline. This is about the adrenaline that you get from being terrified to make you do the thing, but you're not producing the real thing that you want to because you're not doing it in the state of flow that you just said you wanted.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So now we know what would make it worth it, but who do you have to be to step into that to make it worth it?
I have to be a person that doesn't look at things as like, oh, it's a failure. That's it. That means no. That means stop. That means you can't do it again.
What else has to shift?
That failure doesn't. What was that?
No, go ahead. I think we had a little glitch. You said, so you can't be a person that just has the failure and gives up.
Yeah. Failure doesn't mean what I think it means.
All right. What else would have to shift for you to step into this so that you really could figure out this new process?
This is a hard one.
And it's where your block is. It's where the lock is in all of this.
Oh, this grip, this like, and I grip around so many different facets of my life, so it would be, how do I approach when I get feedback? Do I get destroyed by it, or do I open up and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah. So here's the deal. I'm hearing the things that you say that you want. I'm still not convinced that you're going to feel like it's worth it. I'm still not convinced. If you got that, I think you would. But this part of who you need to be, that failure piece and the willingness to let go of the grip and all of that, that's the part where only if you could be courageous enough during our sessions together to let that go so that you could.
That's the work.
That's the work. And you and I have done this before. We have had lots of times where the grip has been there and we've had to talk it through. So I'm willing. It's you, though. I want it to be 100% win for you. So you'd have to make that in yourself so that it could be.
Yeah, that's a really deep question because I want to be honest.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like sell myself to you to be like, no, of course I could totally do it. Yeah, don't worry,
Well, we've already done that.
Yeah.
You and I've already done that. And so
Yeah.
this isn't about would coaching work for you. It's about, are you ready for a new way of being?
Oh,
That's what it's really about. There's no amount of money, whether I told you this is $10 or $10,000, it doesn't really matter if you're not willing to be a new way of being while we do it.
that's really it. That's why I'm doing it too. I'm doing it to introduce a new way of being.
No, and I see it. I really, really see it. But I wouldn't coach you again unless you thought it was going to be 100% win.
Well, that gives me hope.
Yeah.
And it makes me really excited. And it's really touched into real value for me too.
Which one?
So it's like the money's somewhere like, oh, whatever, somewhere in the rear view. Who cares? It's not even doesn't matter really. Mm-hmm.
Tell me what just happened right there.
I just it's like bringing stuff up because it's so it's valuable to me. Mm-hmm. And the money doesn't matter.
Yeah, because this is your dream. This is the more important thing. This is your lifeblood. This is the part that creates the opportunity. These are the ideas that you don't want to have pass by, but you have to step into it.
Yeah.
Said years have gone by. When I asked that question, she said, but they have, time goes fast. They have gone by. Yeah. And so it would require you to be different than you are today, not just in coaching, but in your life. And only you know if it's worth it or if it's the right time. I don't know.
I feel like it's almost the right time.
Yeah, that's really honest. So then if it's almost the right time, what I would say is, what if we check back in like 30 days and see what's shifted for you? Seriously, if it's almost, if it's not yet, I don't want you to do it unless you're like, it is the right time. It is the right time. Mm-hmm. So if it's not, and there's no harm done when you know that it's not, that's actually better. Save your money. Don't spend it. Wait until you're ready. It's like, Gretchen, I'm ready to lasso this. I want it. Then let's coach. Let's have a coaching session. You and I know we've coached before, but let's coach again with this new version of you that you're going to have to step into and see what you think.
That gives me so much space inside. That makes me feel so good. That's the only way to put it. It's just it's like a relief because I know there's all this other work that I'm doing around this right now, and that's going to only build up the support to be able to that much more step in without the overwhelm into something that's really, yeah, exactly that feeling that you're talking about. Like, I really want this. Not I'm saying I want this, but this is it's not a sell. It's just the right next step.
Yeah. And you owe that to yourself because your creativity doesn't want to be suffocated anymore. So if you don't want to suffocate it, only do things that are authentic for it.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have any other questions then about working together? I know that we're going to not get started yet, but is there anything else that comes up that you're wanting to know about?
No, I'm just really intrigued at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I adore you. I loved our work together. I'm so excited about when and if you decide that you want to do it again. And there's never any pressure from me about when that might be. But when your heart tells you that you're a hell yes, you're going to tell me and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. You feel complete?
Yeah, I feel really good. Thank you for giving me that space.
Of course. I had no idea where this was going to go. Thanks, Masha.
Me neither.
Great enrollment. Perfect. I appreciate that. So the class might want to ask you questions. Okay, everyone. What did you see? And if there's anything there that you want to ask either of us, let's talk it through. Comments.
Hi.
Hi.
You made a big point that you were not going to be coaching her this evening.
Yeah.
It sure felt like coaching. It felt like coaching someone if they wanted to be coached.
Yeah, but I didn't coach. I actively listened and I created a lot of sacred space and I asked her questions. There was no topic, there was no outcome, and there was no measurement. That would have been coaching. If I would have gotten in there and said, tell me more about creativity. What do you want to create around creativity? And she would have said, whatever, I want an important piece that feels good for me and it's important to others. Okay, by the time we're done, we have about 30 minutes. By the time we're done, what do you want to leave with? That would have been coaching. Instead, I was interviewing her. Do I want her to be my client? Is she ready to be my client? Yeah, it can sound really similar though. So that is a good catch. What else?
Hi, Gretchen.
Hi, I'm so happy.
Happy New Year. Me too. I'm so happy to be here. There's so much. I don't know if you saw me, I was taking notes because there's so many good stuff here, but it was interesting how you architected this conversation. And I think that's the only word that I could use that really explains because there's so much going on, but yet you kept on digging, and you really didn't let go of Masha. But the one that I really liked was when she took that pause and you went, what just came up for you? And that was like I felt like you just really went deep there. So it seems like you were digging, and then that was like almost like the release.
Yeah.
So this again, like the architecture of how you got to that place. I think there were millions of different ways of going, but I felt it was very clear. There was some journeying, but not so much. Like it wasn't everywhere. I think it kept on going to, I want to make sure that this is 100% good for you and right for you timing wise. And what does that look like? And it sounds like because knew her a little bit, like maybe there was something that was coming up that you knew that maybe she was gonna, I don't know, intellectualize the answer or almost like make it that it was complete, but yet you didn't let her go. So that was really interesting to watch.
Yeah. So Masha and I have worked together before, and with all of my clients, I wanted to be 100% win. And there were times for her where it didn't feel that way. And I can honestly say that. And no problem. I want to be a coach that you feel like you got more than your money's worth. And that's why it was like, okay, we've done this before. Who do you have to be? Yeah. What has to happen? That way I can really meet my client. Could we have had some great conversation where I could persuade her and say all these things? Of course, but that's not serving. That's not serving the client. I want to serve everyone that's in front of me. The other thing too, taking it off the table. Did you see her face when I said, so let's check in 30 days? She was like, what? Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi,
hey, Gretchen.
Hi, Happy New Year. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you so much. Hi, Aska. I see you have some initials after your name, by the way, that weren't there before. So congratulations. So this is a question from Masha. I'm wondering how you felt when Gretchen said to you, you know what, this isn't the right time for you. Come back. And this is not going to serve you right now. So I'm just wondering how that felt for you and what your thoughts were.
It was so gentle. It was so it was just, I don't know, I'm kind of processing right now too. It felt so good because there's already so much that's going on, that overwhelm. So having this other thing, I just knew, I was like, I would fail again, or it wasn't the right fit, but I know inside myself, I know enough when it is the right time. And so that means just not right now and in the future. And so that even ignited the hope even more. And I need that hope to drive my flow. So it's just perfect. It's the perfect not right now.
Yeah.
Because I knew that.
And I only said it because she said almost. It's almost the right time. And I was like, yeah, then we're not doing it. If a client says it's almost, even though you know that your sales skills are so good that you could say, well, but we could do this prep work. And you did say these other things, and probably we could work on overwhelm. We can be pushy with clients and make them think that it's a great idea if you really get to their why and their pain points, but that's not appropriate. It wouldn't be a good win for her. It's not a good money investment right now, or of her time. She doesn't have enough. She's already overwhelmed. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Masha, thank you for sharing. I really loved the moment where she said that, like, money, she didn't know about how the price was going to work. And then you just completely flipped it. It was just like, well, what would make this, like, what would work for you? What would make this money, like this amount, work for you? And then it just shifted her mind to be like, oh, well, this is everything that I want. And then she's putting that value in for herself. And then you, like, that way you keep the control as a coach and that presence, while they're thinking about how this would be so valuable for them.
Yeah, because up until that point, I don't know that she would have wanted the coaching or not anyway. We just kind of chit chatted. But when I said, what would make it worth it for you? She was like, I don't know. That's a really hard question. Your potential client needs to know what would make it worth it for them, or else nothing that you do will feel worth it for them. And they will vocalize that later in different ways. It's like, oh, well, I didn't know it's quite going to be this, or I thought it was going to be that, or they're not going to think you're a very good coach. But the truth is, if you find out at the beginning what would make it worth it for you, then you're both clear. And so she said something that made her terrified. And, we went back and forth on that. And that might have sounded like coaching, but all I did is listen and drill down that, is it really terrified, or is it something that makes you so excited and about this new way of being? And she went, oh, so you want to find the real thing. And the truth is, that's where the coaching engagement becomes an agreement, where it's like, I am going to work with you because we have figured out the real thing, not just this thing that we've glossed over. We've talked about your creativity. We've talked about overwhelm. We've talked about what it would mean to you. We did talk about those things, but I went so deep that I know her why. I know the thing that keeps her up at night. I know her truest longing, and she's not ready yet. And that's okay. But when she is, I know what that thing is. I zeroed in on it like a bee sting. And that's what you want to know. Every enrollment call you have, whether the client's a yes or a no, you need to know the thing that really would make the money leave their pocket. We never even got to price. We didn't even get there. She said her things that she wanted to know were, how much? Will it work? What happens if it doesn't? And maybe my life is okay. Why change? So the one I started with is, your life is okay. You don't have to change. You're fine. Your life is okay. You told me you've been doing this for years. And then, will it work? And it's like, I don't know. You tell me, will it work? What needs to happen in you? And how will you decide that this is valuable? We didn't even need to talk money yet because she's not ready. Yeah. What else did you see in this? Carrie.
I just loved how much reflection there was. Like, you just kind of reflected the essence of what you heard her say, and I think what you were feeling, what you were picking up feeling wise. I was feeling it, Masha, like, I have love for you, and I was getting like teary before you cried. So but Gretchen, you just like held all of that and just gave her space to see it. And I like so much magic happened in those moments where you reflected it back and just held it.
Mm,
It's really beautiful.
yeah. Yeah. Michael.
I noticed that you emphasized the pain point a couple of times and made it very, very clear to her what she would be missing out on. But you didn't do it in a malicious way or something that felt like you were trying to actively poke her.
Mm-hmm.
You did it in a way that just kind of made her step back and realize, okay, yeah, this would be a really big deal for me if I didn't make this part of my life. So I
Yeah.
like the way that you did that.
Thank you. And it's in what Carrie was noticing about the reflection. It's really just in the reflection that if you're listening and you're not worried about, are we going to get to the part about money? Are we going to talk about the next step? But you're really just there with your client. You're going to hear the most important things and use their words. She said it was flittering out. Use her words, use the client's words of what is important. And yeah, it's a pain point. And you're right. I wasn't being malicious, but I heard it. And that's where the bold coaching comes in. We don't just take a broad stroke of, oh, you want coaching on your dream. You want coaching on your light flittering out on your creativity and this way of being. That's what we're really talking about here. Dig, get to the thing, because that again is the part that makes them ask the next questions about, how do I work with you? What does it look like? What's the investment? But if you never really get to the thing and you're wondering, why haven't they asked me? It's because you didn't get there with what's truly, truly important. What else?
It really was enrolling. And I so appreciated that because I've been so freaked out about selling. But it really was such an interesting dance. Like at one point you even said, hey, I'm willing, I'm willing. But are you ready? And you're right. It wasn't about money. It's about, is the client ready to invest the personal commitment and the, will to change. So I thought that was like truly, truly brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad that you got something from that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Now let's say that it's 30 days from now. And really, I would check in with her in about a week anyway, just because this sparked some things. This one was aggressive. It really, her heart is on the line with this. She's going to probably feel vulnerable because there were tears. And I want to make sure that the people that I talk to feel held the whole way. So I'd check in with her in a few days. I'd probably send something on ways to nurture your creativity or spark. I don't know. I'd find something having to do with creativity. I wouldn't go the overwhelm route because that's just a umbrella issue. I'd go for the heart route, which was her creativity. So I'd find podcast, article, book, something. And I'd say, hey, I've been thinking about you since our conversation. Really want to commend you for your bravery and your vulnerability. Here's something that I found. Let me know how it sits with you. And leave it. And then we keep the dialogue going. And I also would have, for the 30-day, I would have calendared with her like, okay, so if we check back in 30 days, what works for you? And we would have put it on the calendar during this call, just to see how she was doing, what's come up for her. Is the time any different? Is the timing any different? And during that call, I wouldn't coach her then either. I would just find out. And if she felt ready, I would still not offer her coaching until I've coached her. And so a lot of people think about, well, why am I giving away all these free coaching calls? Well, the next one is for you, coach, to make sure you want to coach this person. You're getting ready to have a commitment with them of whatever period of time, 90 days, 30 days, a year. You want to make sure that it's a good fit for you. And so it's not, I don't look at it as, well, I've just given away an hour of my time. No, that's your insurance policy. Do you enjoy coaching this person? Are they coachable? And was it a win for them? Because the worst thing that happens is when people give you money and then they're upset that they gave you the money. You don't want that. You don't want, because I have a no refund policy. So if you're upset you gave me the money, we tried it out. You said yes, and we were both really clear about what was going to happen. So that's where I would have gone with that. 30 days, we would have checked in. 7 days, I would have sent her something. 30 days, I would have checked in. We would have talked. Maybe there'd be a coaching session. Maybe she needs another 30 days. But even when a client isn't a yes right then, I don't think like, oh, another one bites the dust. oh, my mortgage won't be paid this month. Oh man, what am I going to do now? Instead, I'm like, I'm planting seeds. You can bet after that enrollment conversations, people aren't that bold. They don't say all of that. She's going to feel trusting towards me. She's going to feel like, yeah, she said something. She called it like it was. And either that's going to work for her or it isn't. But I'm never afraid of like, oh, well, I said too much. Probably could have kept that a little lighter and got her to yes. I don't want that. I don't want clients that want to be lighter that I can get to yes. I want clients that want to work. So think about what you want. Everyone wants something a little bit different. And it's all okay. Okay, what else has this sparked for you? What other questions or comments do you have?
One more thing. I really liked how the separation between actual coaching and just the like active listening and powerful questions, because a lot of times Masha, she would say things that she wanted, and then the second that you literally just verbatim repeated it to her, she saw it in a new light, and she was just like, oh yeah. It's just she was getting value just in the fact that you were literally mirroring exactly what she said, which I thought was cool.
It's so amazing when someone really hears our words and they don't summarize it in their own language. They use our language. The subconscious relaxes. It's like someone hears me, someone understands me, they got me. I just used her words, so be a really good listener. And that's where too, Eva, yeah, I know you said it felt a little bit like coaching. It's because she felt so understood because I engaged with her. But I didn't coach. We didn't get to any kind of resolution about any of her topics. We simply were there together sharing some space to see if this was going to be something that could work. Anyone else? Hi, Michael, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Hey, so I'm not pushing back, but in some ways what you were doing was, and it's not a bad thing, it was coaching. And I only say that because in the moment now you were doing the, much more enrollment, but I could also see so much of what the technique you were doing in the enrollment call crosses over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just for the record.
Yeah. So here's the difference with that. For the record, I love it that there's a record. Who's keeping the record? Are you keeping?
I'm taking notes. Okay, and got my spreadsheet.
Take the notes. Okay, good. I love it. I love someone to keep the record for me because I need that as a coach as well. So here's the deal. We have passive coaching skills, and then we have coaching skills that happen inside of a session that has an actual agreement. Your passive coaching skills are always things having to do with the space that you create, the way that you listen. No matter what school you went to, there's always something about listening actively, the way that you ask questions, and acknowledgement. Those are your passive coaching skills that you should do no matter if it's enrollment or it's a true coaching engagement. Coaching engagement, though, is where you put the actual wheels on the bus and you make sure that you have firm forms of measurement. So yes, you're completely right. There were coaching skills used because 100% you should use those in every type of conversation, but not a coaching conversation where there was topic and measurement.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the record.
Just I got a little bit cerebral about it. I'm like, wait a minute.
I love that.
That's coaching.
I love that about you. Yeah, good. Anything else sparked here? Anyone else want to share?
I like the 30-day check-in. That's something I haven't tried before, and I think that could help with at least getting to the next level and sort of keeping that half-life of excitement going. Yeah. I like that.
Good. And you have some stuff coming up where you can use that.
Yeah. I will. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, Ellen.
Yeah, I have another question. So in terms of coaching versus like doing a sample coaching session versus an enrollment session. So a lot of people will do just like, we're talking about potentially working together. The best way to get to know if we should work together is just like, let's do a laser coaching session, 15, 20 minutes to see how that works. And so that's obviously a great way to see if you're a good fit or not, which is really different from as you're describing your enrollment call, which is actually like a pre-certification, like almost a certification, whether or not you even, maybe yours is before that. Is that what it is? I'm not really sure. So maybe you can address that. Did I ramble?
No, you're fine. I want to make sure that I'm answering what you're asking though. So some people do an actual coaching session the very first time they talk to a client. I used to do that. It's not wrong. What I have found though is that slowing down the process actually helps to speed things up. And what I mean by that is that it helps your client, your potential client, relax into the coaching agreement, where if you do a laser focused and they've had some movement, the entire time they're usually worried about the sale. You know, they're worried now is the part where she's going to sell me. Okay, I'm going to tell her that I had these great results and she's going to try to sell me something. Where if I'm just listening for the first conversation and then they know that we're going to be coaching the next conversation, it feels separate. And a lot of times I will have already said what the price is in the first conversation, so that it's like, we already know what the money is. You've already told me all your money objections, this and that. Let's coach. Let's even see what you think of it first. And it slows it down enough for the person to experience it, both parts, and relax without trying to combine it all in one. And it's not wrong to combine it all in one, or just to do a laser focus to see if it's a good fit. It's just not the way that I do it today. Who knows in 6 months? Who knows?
So backing up, the enrollment call that you had with Masha, if you decided that she was an appropriate client and there was an agreement that you guys are going to work together, then you would have told her what the financial arrangement was.
Mhm.
And then you would have had a sample coaching session. How, I'm not really sure what.
I would have. I then would have coached her for probably 45 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on what she brought to the session. But I would have wanted to coach her. It's for me. It's also for the client to make sure they feel like it's a fit, but it's really for me, especially because I like to work with people for longer periods of time. I want to make sure that we're really a good fit and on the same page, and that an enrollment call can be really exciting, you know, and you might get swept away in what you think is going to happen. I want the client to have an experience first so that they know what coaching is. It's really different than what we think it is. So it's my insurance policy, and it's an insurance policy for the client too, to make sure that, yes, this is what I want to do. Does that help? Did that answer it, Ellen?
Yeah, thanks.
Good. Okay, everyone. It was so good to see all of you. I'm wondering, is there one thing that you got from this tonight that you're going to try out? Something that you saw that's like, yeah, I'm going to try that. Yeah, Michael Z.
I'm definitely going to be implementing more of the seeing if I want to work with them, if I want to coach them, because I know it's like in dating, if I'm going out and trying to win her over, my energy is going to be totally different than if I'm just like saying, okay, is this person right for me?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just so much more of a relaxing energy and vibe, and it's just more constructive to like what you were saying, like you want to work with somebody for a long term. Is that going to be a win for both of you, rather than, okay, how do I close this client, how do I get this money?
Yeah, good. Anyone else have something you're going to take from this and try? Yeah, Oscar.
So I think that whole concept of allowing the client to become very clear of the work that they have to do even before enrolling in the agreement, I think is a game changer, because you've already gotten the buy-in of the client. And, you know, Masha was very clear what she needed to do. And she even addressed the fact that she was almost ready, right? So there was some work that she needed to do in order to get there. So I think that changes probably the dynamic and the setup completely. And I could see, like just Michael said, that it makes that client so much more compatible with you coaching as well, which makes it a win-win for both parties.
Good. Anyone else? Yeah, Masha.
Yeah, just that feeling, I can't even put it into words, but that I'll know it forever, is when you know when somebody's ready, and when you're ready as well, and when it's a clear yes. And it doesn't mean not ready now, like never.
Yeah.
It's just, it's planting that seed, and I love that.
Yeah. Good. Time for one more. Yeah, hi, Heba.
Hi, Gretchen. Thank you. That was amazing, Masha. Thank you. What really caught my attention was that, are you ready for a new way of being? And I felt that Masha's energy shifted at that point. I felt, I don't know if that's true or not, Masha, that she went from being a little bit, not distressed, that's not the right word, but there was sort of a distressing energy in the way she was speaking, to sort of, she dropped down a little bit in her responses. And I think she became very reflective. I don't know if that's was a good notice or not, but I thought I can imagine the power of that question to my clients. Are you ready for a new way? And if they're not, they're not. But they can, I think that would be a question that that could rattle around for a really long time in their brain.
Yeah, I felt the same way you did when I asked that
It was
question.
like a,
Whoosh. Yeah, it was almost like pressure release valve or something.
yes,
Yeah, good.
thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome. So good to see you tonight. So I love you, coaches. You know I do. You guys are my little cookie cutters in my heart. So good to see all of you. I hope to see all of you next month. I never know what I'm going to talk about until the week before. So if you have anything, you can put it in Coaching for Coaches. If there's something there that it's like, hey, could we workshop this? Probably. I don't know. Why not? So if you have a request, put it out there. Just tag me in it, and happy to take a look at that. But I hope you all have a great February, and I'll see you next month. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.